Hare Krishna, we will start with the invocation prayers. The invocation prayers are on the introduction page of Bhagavad Gita. Many of you know, follow along. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamala Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. We welcome a few new devotees and there are few also on in the process of getting caught up by listening to recording as well. So even though you are joining partway through, feel free to ask any and all questions. This is our open forum and more based on discussions rather than me having to sit here and give a class and then you hold your head, oh, I don't know what happened. So feel free to ask any and all questions, even though you may be joining for the first time today. All right, so today we will be discussing this heavy topic on demigod. And at the start, I request permission and blessings from my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshikadas Adhikari, our Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Shri Radha Krishna and Narasimha Dev on the screen, to allow me to speak and the right words on demigod worship and put to rest this seemingly somewhat confusing as to what exactly we are supposed to do. So what we'll be discussing today, and we will read a lot of verses from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Our entire discussion and the read is going to cause a lot of waves in your mind. Waves means purification is happening. So many of us are from India and around region where this demigod worship is quite active and it is not done properly to begin with. So the first principle that I want all of you to remember is do not disrespect demigods. Demigods are devotees of Krishna. So the topic of demigods is discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse number 12, then in chapter 7 verse number 20 to 25, then in chapter 9 verse number 20 to 26, as well as lot many places in Srimad Bhagavatam. So for a wholesome discussion on demigods, we will cover verses across Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So what I will be speaking is in concentrated and in summary form from various sources, therefore is a very, very heavy discussion. Therefore, I request all of you to please ask a lot of questions. But simultaneously, I also request that if you can please keep writing your questions on a paper or somewhere instead of asking your inquiries as we go along, because I want you all to hear the demigod discussion first, and some of your inquiries will get answered as the discussion progresses. I will pause at various intervals in our discussion to let you all ask questions. But keep writing your questions on a piece of paper or whichever way is convenient for you. So we have heard earlier from His Grace Chaitanya Das that you should categorize and park your questions. Otherwise, your faith will get checked and choked. So fashion, tradition are like moving lighthouses. Scriptures are permanent and stationary lighthouses that do not move. Therefore, we need to follow scriptures. So as I said, today's demigod discussion is going to rattle many of you. And therefore, I suggest that after the conversation today, you can please speak to me offline. So other religions, they force you to stay in a particular religion or even ask you to change your religion from whatever other religion you are following. But ISKCON does not ask anyone to change your religion. Rather, ISKCON and Bhagavad Gita explains the easier path of Bhakti Yoga among many other paths. One can follow Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Yoga path no matter what religion you belong to. Therefore, in ISKCON, there are devotees from all religions and all faiths. Because ISKCON does not ask anyone to change their religion. Prabhupada says, if you are steady in your religion, continue to follow it properly. But if you are just starting, then take up Krishna consciousness from the start rather than some other religion. But ISKCON does not ask anyone to change their base religion that they come from. After our today's this very heavy and rattling discussion on demigods, I request all of you to please try to convince me on demigods. Yes, convince me. If you think you have a lot of faith on demigods, then have an offline conversation with me and try to convince me. So when you try to convince me based on authorized scriptures, not what you have heard from friends and family, because everybody in the material world has 4 defects. We have studied this at the start of Bhagavad Gita. So you may say, well, I have heard from my parents and grandparents. Well, that is not a valid source. You have to give me scriptural reference. Therefore, whatever I will be speaking, large part of it, I will bring up scriptures on screen and we will read and follow the scriptures. And if you still have faith in demigod worship, I will request you to continue demigod worship. But towards the end of our class today, I will also explain what is the proper way to worship demigods. Right now, the way demigod worship is being done is absolutely incorrect. So I am not a guru. I am just a very easily accessible servant. All of you are more elevated than me. Therefore, take this opportunity to frankly argue with me on demigods so that any and all misconceptions are destroyed. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So as I said, the first principle to remember is that do not disrespect demigods because demigods are devotees of Krishna. So demigods and we all are at the same Jiva Tattva level. Yes, absolutely correct. Demigods are ordinary souls like you and me. Just as in an office, everyone is an employee. Some are regular staff and some are managers and directors. Similarly, demigods are at the same Jiva Tattva level like you and me with administrative powers to manage the universe. The very first point that I want to make, which will be an eye-opener to many, is that demigod is a position. Just as you have Prime Minister of Canada or Prime Minister of India, and different person is a Prime Minister, just as say in India right now Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister, or in Canada Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister. There were different individuals in these Prime Minister posts previously, and there will be different individuals in the Prime Minister post in future. Similarly, this demigod is not a person, it's a position, and different individuals occupy this position. An example, Indra from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Indra is the king of demigods. He comes quite frequently in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is actually a different Indra as a person. So all discussion says Indra, but the person Indra in each of those many pastimes is a different person, because in different times, different individuals occupy the position of Indra, just as it's a prime minister. So demigods is not a person, it's a position. So I will bring up a lot of references on screen. Everyone will have a chance to read. I will request all of you to please read at a faster pace and get engaged here so that we don't waste time. We have a lot to cover. So the first I will bring up on screen is Srimad Bhagavatam 8.1.18 purport, which says that demigod names are not personal names, but demigod names are names of posts. Chaitanya Prabhu, read the purport from the screen.
Hare Krishna. The various names of the demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, and so on, are not personal names. They are names of different posts. In this regard, we understand that Lord Vishnu sometimes becomes Brahma or Indra when there is no suitable person to occupy this post. Hare Krishna.
All right. So what we are reading is directly from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, verse number 18. So Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, these are authorized scriptures, and these authorized bona fide original scriptures have existed even before creation happened. Clearly says demigod names are not personal names. They are position. They are different posts, just as prime minister of any country. All right. The next point that I will state is that demigods are appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. So I will bring up on screen. So this is 8.14.2 Srimad Bhagavatam. Dara, if you want to read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sukadev Goswami said, the Manus, the son of Manus, the great sages, the Indras, and all the demigods, O king, are appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations, such as Yajna.
Right? So demigods are not gods. They are just given administrative powers to manage the universe, and the administrative powers are given by Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, nobody else. All right. Now, by doing Krishna worship does not mean it's either do Krishna worship or do demigod worship. Rather, the correct understanding is that Krishna worship includes demigod worship. So Krishna is the root. All of us, including demigods, are parts and parcels of Krishna. So when you water the root, Krishna, meaning when you satisfy Krishna by Krishna worship, all parts of Krishna, we all and demigods, everyone is automatically satisfied. Therefore, there is no need for separate demigod worship. Everybody with me so far? I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Hare Krishna,
this is
go ahead.
Partha.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Can you please repeat once more
Repeat what?
this verse? Actually, I failed to actually note the proper reference.
Yeah, so first I gave you 8.1.18,
8.1.18.
which where it says that demigods are not personal names, but they are names of positions or posts.
8.1.18.
And then I gave you 8.14.2. So you can always, if you miss anything, you can always get the recording from me and get the references from there. All right. Okay, so demigods do not have any authority to give you any benediction unless it is sanctioned by Krishna. We'll soon read. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. So that demigods do not have any authority to give you anything. Even when you satisfy demigods and demigods give you any benediction, the demigods first have to get it sanctioned from Krishna to be able to give you that benediction. So why go via? Just go directly to the source, to Krishna. There's no need to go to demigods. They anyway don't have any authority to give you those benedictions. And we will discuss in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 that actually Krishna worship is easy compared to demigod worship. There are different processes to follow for each of the 330 million demigods, meaning there is one process to follow for Ganesh, another process to follow for Shiva, another process to follow for Durga, another process to follow for Saraswati, and on and on and on. Not anybody knows that there are different processes to follow for different demigods. Everybody seems to be worshipping demigods with one process, not realizing that that's an incorrect way of worshipping demigods. And even if you do proper demigod worship, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 that the result of demigod worship is temporary and insignificant. I will repeat the keyword: temporary and insignificant benedictions. Why do we have to bother for temporary and insignificant benedictions? I want Deepa to please read Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, verse number 25.
Hello, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I'm
9,
not able to read. I have the really bad cold.
all right, Gulshan, 9.25.
Hare Krishna 9.25. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me.
So Krishna says that demigod worshippers will go to demigods abode, and I will show you a visual for this. And those who worship Krishna will go to the spiritual world. So demigods as well as demigods abode are still within this material world. And every place in the material world is a place of misery. Whether it be demigods abode being heaven or this earth or hell, all are places of misery. So I will show you a visual. So on the screen, you have a visual at the bottom. You have material world universe, one universe. This dividing line in between, which is a curved line, is Brahma Jyoti. This bluish bubble is Vaikunta, meaning spiritual Vaikunta planet. And this pink bubble is Goloko Vrindavan. And I will show you a close-by visual. You will notice that here you see Mahavishnu, all these bubbles. These bubbles are infinite universes coming out of Mahavishnu. And I will show you a closer visual of this one universe. So first, the Mahavishnu. So all these bubbles coming out of Mahavishnu is how all these universes are created. And one of the bubble is, say, our universe. I will show you a closer view. All these bubbles are infinite universes in the creation. Now look at one universe close by. So this is one universe. It has 14 plates. They are stacked together. So all these circles that you see, they are plates. We are on the 7th plate. It says here, it shows Earth and it says you are here. The lower plates are hellish planets and upper plates are progressively little better planets, except for the planet of ghost. So heaven, says here Swargalok, heaven is just few plates above. So if you do demigod worship, you are not going anywhere out of universe. You are just climbing few plates above and you go to heaven. But entire universe, whether it be Brahmaloka, whether it be heaven, whether it be earth, whether it be hellish planets, all are places of misery. So what's the benefit of going to heaven? Malti, are you able to read Bhagavad Gita 8.16, which states that all places are places of misery?
Yes, Prabhuji. 8.16. 8.16. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attained my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Right? So, whether you go to heaven, whether you go to Brahmaloka, whether you are on earth, whether you are in hell, all are places of misery. Now, important to understand that going to heaven is not at all easy. One has to do significant pious activities to go to heaven. Currently, how most people follow the same worship process for all demigods, plus with this little bit of demigod worship, it is not going to grant heaven to anyone. One has to do significant pious activities. And here's the punchline. Even if somebody does demigod worship properly and attains heaven, still going to heaven is like going to a resort. Just as in the material world, when you go to a resort and your money is exhausted, one has to leave the resort and come back to his home and go back to work. Similarly, you attain heaven based on pious karmic credits. And when your pious karmic credits are exhausted, you have to leave heaven and you have to take birth either on earth or on hell in one of the 8.4 million life species. So going to heaven does not guarantee that the next life will be a human life. One can still become an animal. So some of you have seen this slide of yoga ladder. Some of you are in the process of doing it. So here's a simple yoga ladder on the screen where bottom is animal life, then karma kanda, then next higher is sakam karma yoga, next higher is nishkam karma yoga, then gyan yoga, then ashtang yoga, and bhakti yoga. So demigods are at sakam karma yoga level. They have material desires. It's pretty low on the yoga ladder. You all are devotees. You all are at bhakti yoga level. Well, why do you want to worship somebody who is lower on the yoga ladder at the sakam yoga level? So I did not make this up. We will read from Srimad Bhagavatam about this, that demigods are sakam devotees. Okay, let's see. I will bring up on screen. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.12, and we will read this paragraph on the screen. It says that the non-devotees, however, are neither like demigods nor like pure devotees. Okay, let's see. Manish Prabhu, can you please read from the screen at a faster pace?
The non-devotees, however, are neither like a demigods or nor like a pure devotees, but are the averse to the transcendental relationship with the Lord. They have revolted against the Lord and must perpetually undergo the reaction of their own activities. Bhagavad Gita 4.11 states, although the Lord is equally kind to every living being, the living beings for their own path are able to please the Lord to either a greater or lesser extent. The demigods are called Sakam devotees or devotees with material desires in mind, while the pure devotees are called Nishkam devotees because they have no desires for their personal interest. The Sakam devotees are self-interested because they don't have they don't have to think of others, and therefore they are not able to satisfy Lord perfectly. whereas the pure devotees take missionary responsibilities of turning non-devotees into devotees, and they are therefore able to satisfy the Lord more than the demigods.
Okay, so what did we read? Demigods are Sakam devotees. They have their own personal interest. Why do we have to worship somebody who are Sakam? You all are higher. You all are devotees. You all are bhaktas. You are at bhakti yoga, higher on the yoga ladder. And I showed you this visual of one universe, that if you do demigod worship, you will go to, say, higher planet of heaven. And then when your karmic credit is exhausted, you have to come down. So Prabhupada explains that wanting to do demigod worship to go to heaven is like an unintelligent child on a merry-go-round. Let's read from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.2 purport. I have on screen. At that, Prabhupada says that demigod worship is like an unintelligent child on a merry-go-round. Daulat Prabhu, are you able to read from the screen the purport? Unmute and read. Daulat Prabhu, are you able to read? Unmute. Okay. Matan Prabhu, from the screen. Okay. Daulat Prabhu, you okay?
I can read.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Prabhu.
can read.
Yeah.
Hello.
Haripal, go ahead, read from the screen.
Yes, yes. Shall I read it?
Yeah, read loud from the screen the entire purport.
The conditioned soul is always engaged in laying out plan for happiness within the material world, even up to end of the universal limit. He is not even satisfied with the available amenities on this planet Earth, where he has exploited the resources of nature to the best of his ability. He wants to go to the moon or the planet Venus to exploit resources there. But the Lord has warned us in the Bhagavad Gita 8.16 about the worthlessness of all the innumerable planets of this universe, as well as those planets within other system. There are innumerable universes and also innumerable planets in each of them, but none of them is humanist to the chief miseries of the material existence, namely the pangs of a birth, the pangs of a death, the pangs of old age, and the pangs of disease. The Lord says that even the topmost planet known as a Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, and what so is speak of other planets like the heavenly planets is not a happy land for residential purpose due to the presence of material pangs. As above mentioned, conditions souls are strictly under the laws of fruitive activities, and as such they sometimes go up to the Brahman Loka and again come down to the Patal Loka, as if they were unintelligent. children on a merry-go-round. The real happiness is in the kingdom of the God, where no one has to undergo the pangs of a material existence.
Okay, what
Where
did we read? Prabhupada said that going to heaven is like unintelligent children on a
unintelligent,
merry-go-round.
right?
So why do we need to worship demigods? Doesn't grant you anything. And further, in 2.2.7, I will bring up on screen, in paragraph number 1, Prabhupada explains that demigod worship is equated to following herdsmen to a slaughterhouse. Prabhupada has given pretty strong word, following herdsmen to slaughterhouse. It has demigod worship. Why does somebody have to do that? Matan Prabhu, read from the screen, purport paragraph number 1 from 2.2.7.
Hare Krishna, in the Veda, it is said that persons who are attached to demigod to the exclusion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are like animals who follow the herdsman even though they are taken to the slaughterhouse. The materialists, like animals, also do not know how they are being misdirected by neglecting the transcendental thought of the Supreme Person. No one can remain vacant of thought. It is said that an idle brain is a devil's workshop because a person who cannot think in the right way must think of something which may bring about disaster.
Okay,
Materialist.
what did Prabhupada say? That demigod worship is like animals who are taken by herdsmen to slaughterhouse. So what Prabhupada is referring to, that material world is a place of misery where we are slaughtered with miseries every day. And by demigod worship, you are continuing your existence in the material world. So it's just a slaughterhouse. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realization so far. Maybe discussion so far. I got lots of silence.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Monica.
So we said demigod is a position. Are we also going to discuss why people who are in those positions, what material attachments do they have?
They have the same material attachment like you and me. So I'll explain the difference between heaven, earth, and hell with a simple example. Say here on earth, if you bang your head on a wall, you get a certain degree of pain. If you bang the same head when you are in hell with the same intensity on a wall, you will get 1,000 times more pain. The other example about enjoyment, say if you eat something relishable here, you eat some sweet, whatever is your liking, say a rasgulla. If you eat a rasgulla here on earth, you will get certain degree of pleasure. If you eat this rasgulla in heaven, the pleasure in heaven is 1,000 times more. So demigods have the same desires like you and me. Actually, it's even more than you and me. Therefore, they are given higher senses to enjoy even more than what we can enjoy here on earth. Monica, does that answer?
Yeah, that answers. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Any questions, comments, realization so far? All right. We will now read from Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse number 2 to 7. It's a stacked together verse. It's a pretty long verse. We'll read the purport where Prabhupada explains. He gives the example of the unintelligent child. So we discussed previously about somebody being unintelligent on a merry-go-round is still worshipping demigods. Prabhupada gives another example that child does not know the value of $1,000 and he misuses the $1,000. We'll discuss that. Daulat Prabhu, do you have a question? Hare Krishna, Daulat Prabhu, you are unmuted. Do you have a question? Okay. Mohit Prabhu, can you please read from the screen? It's Canto 2, Chapter 3, verses 2 to 7 purport. Faster pace.
Yes, there are different modes of worship for different persons desiring success in particular subjects. The conditioned soul living within the purview of the material world cannot be an expert in every type of materially enjoyable asset, but one can have considerable influence over a particular matter by worshipping a particular demigod, as mentioned above. Ravana was made a very powerful man by worshipping Lord Shiva, and he used to offer severed heads to please Lord Shiva. He became so powerful by the grace of Lord Shiva that all the demigods were afraid of him until he at last challenged the personality of Godhead Sri Ramachandra and thus ruined himself. In other words, all such persons who aspire after gaining some or all of the material objects of the enjoyment or the gross materialistic persons are on the whole less intelligent, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.20. It is said that those who are bereft of all good sense, or those whose intelligence is withdrawn by the deluding energy of Maya, aspire to achieve all sorts of material enjoyment in life by pleasing the various demigods, or by advancing in material civilization under the heading of scientific progress. The real problem of life in the material world is to solve the question of birth, death, old age, and disease. No one wants to change his birthright, no one wants to meet death, no one wants to be old or invalid, and no one wants diseases. But these problems are solved neither by the grace of any demigod nor by the so-called advancement of material science.
Okay, so Prabhupada said that less intelligent, those who worship are less intelligent. Understand, Prabhupada didn't say that they are not intelligent at all or they are stupid. That's not the word used. It says less intelligent. And Prabhupada says the real problems are birth, death, old age, and disease. And demigod worship, or this so-called advancement in material world, is not going to resolve this. So understand this less intelligent with an example. So a child does not know the value of $1,000. Child takes this $1,000 to a shopkeeper to get one chocolate. Therefore, in the purport, Prabhupada uses the word demigod worshippers are less intelligent because they do not know the value of human form of life. Human form of life can grant you Goloko Vrindavan, the highest spiritual destination, a place of eternal bliss, and permanently end the miseries. But I am using the human form of life to attain temporary and insignificant heaven, just as a child not knowing the value of $1,000 gives $1,000 to a shopkeeper to buy one chocolate. So demigod worship will keep you in the material world. So demigod worship is buy one, get three free. What did I say? Somebody, what did I say?
Buy one, get three free.
Yeah. So what are you buying and what three things are you getting free? So by demigod worship, you are buying another life and you are getting old age, disease, and death, the three things as free, although we read that birth is also a misery. So by demigod worship, you are continuing to get birth, old age, disease, and death. Why do you want to worship demigods? Now, some people worship Durga Devi. So we have, say, during Navratri time, everybody is dancing up and down during the 9 days. So I will bring up on screen Canto 2, Chapter 4, verse number 6, and in paragraph number 5, let's go, which says the mundaners worship Durga Devi. Let's come to that and we'll read. Yeah. Malti, you want to read from here? The mundaners are worshippers of Durga Devi.
Yes, Prabhuji. The mundaners are mostly worshipper of Durga Devi, the external energy of Krishna, but they do not know that Durga Devi is the shadow energy of Lord. Behind her astonishing display of the material working is the direction of the Lord, as the confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10.
Okay, so Durga Devi is shadow. Why do you have to worship a shadow? Worship the Lord. I will again pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. Malti.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Like out of 1,000 people, why there is no any one person who know about Krishna, and why there is many people who know about demigods?
Yeah, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we'll soon read, in chapter 7, Krishna says that people worship demigods because they want quick results. So we'll read, it's an upcoming discussion, I will briefly describe that we live in an instant world, that I want everything instant, like with few clicks or even one click. So demigod, if you worship, demigod worship is like a business contract. What did I say?
Business contract.
Demigod worship is like a business contract that you do certain sacrifice for demigods, and demigod will give you back whatever benediction you have. Although demigod does not have any authority, demigods have to first get it sanctioned from Krishna. So I want instant, therefore I do it. And I'll explain this with an example, that what happens when you do demigod worship versus you do Krishna worship. So demigod worship, I said, is like a business contract that a child takes $1,000, gives it to a shopkeeper, buys chocolate, and then he eats all this chocolate and he spoils his teeth. Now, the mother of the child, the mother does not want the child to get the teeth spoiled, as well as the mother does not want to not satisfy the child's desire to have chocolate or something sweet. So the mother says, okay, I will prepare some sweet and I will give you in little portions so that your health is maintained, and your desire is also satisfied. So Krishna will also satisfy your material desires. It's an upcoming discussion and a verse I will soon, but I'm briefly explaining right now to Malti's question. That yes, Krishna will also satisfy your material desires, just not quickly the way demigods do it, just not the way demigods will give it without really knowing whether it is good or bad for the person receiving the benediction. So in the example that I gave, the mother is the Krishna to give you the sweet in small doses so that you stay healthy. Malti, does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji. But
yeah, and we have
are not aware.
desires. So we have desires, therefore everyone is wanting quick results to their desires. Malti?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Siddharth Prabhu posted a question that why did God created demigods and the rituals of worship? So park your question. It's an upcoming discussion very soon. Siddharth Prabhu, I'll answer very soon. And Samma has a question posted in the chat that why weren't we not taught since birth to worship Krishna? Exactly. Very good. Very good inquiry. Exactly what Malti was asking. That we are surrounded by people who have 4 defects. Whether it be your parent, grandparent, or whosoever you know who told you about demigod worship, well, they also don't know. At least from a go-forward basis, you all do the right thing and explain to your friends and family. So after I heard about this demigod worship discussion that I am repeating to you all, I explained it to my parents and I had a hard time to convince them because all from India and around region, their slate, means their mind slate, is filled with everything about demigod, and that also is all wrong. So the first thing that I had to do with my parents was to erase their slate first. I said, first erase what you don't know and what you know as correct. Well, that was all incorrect in your head. Therefore, erase first. So not many people know about Krishna worship because everybody is in that instant enjoyment, instant fulfilling of desires. Samma, does that answer?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Polami, I'll come to your question. I already answered, I think. Pratyush and Path Prabhus.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Pratyush.
Yeah.
I actually have a question regarding demigods fulfilling material desires instantly. In an example, suppose a loved one is at the hospital and it's a near-death experience, he or she might die or not die, and we want that person to stay alive. So, does praying to a demigod is beneficial in this circumstance because it gives instant results, or we can pray to Krishna also?
So demigods are not going to give you the result that they themselves don't have. So demigod also are subject to birth and death. So how can demigod give you something that they themselves don't have? Pratyush Prabhu?
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
It's impossible for demigod to give you. We read in one of the purport that the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease cannot be solved by demigod worship. It's impossible. Pratyush Prabhu, does that satisfy?
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. Paulomi, you have a question that why is demigod worship rampant? I already said that everybody is in this enjoying mentality. Therefore, nobody is interested in Krishna. And we discussed this in chapter 1 Bhagavad Gita, that I think everything around me is readily available for enjoyment and Krishna is far and irrelevant. Therefore, I don't care for Krishna. Follow me? Does that answer? Okay. Manish Prabhu?
So my question is, if Krishna is the ultimate God to whom we should worship, so how come his existence came after so long, and he's also the avatar of Vishnu Bhagwan?
So both incorrect points. Krishna
Okay.
is not the avatar of anyone. Everyone else is an avatar of Krishna. Everyone else is an avatar of Krishna. Period. So Krishna existed from before. Originally, it was only Krishna who existed. and there was none of these demigods, nobody existed. So this also is a very common misunderstanding where everybody thinks that Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. That is incorrect. Everyone comes from Krishna. So I will show you on screen, and this is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, but I will show you a visual for this, which will make it easy to understand. So first there was only Krishna. From Krishna comes Lord Balram. From Lord Balram comes the first quadruple expansion of first Vasudev, first Sankarshan, first Pradyumna, first Anirudh. From first Sankarshan comes Lord Narayan. From Lord Narayan comes the second quadruple expansion of second Vasudev, second Sankarshan, second Pradyumna, second Anirudh. From second Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu. And you are saying Krishna comes from Vishnu. Arey Baba, Vishnu is so far in the sequence. From Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is the super soul of each universe. And from Garbhodakshai Vishnu comes Paramatma, who is the super soul within each one of us. Manish Prabhu and everybody, does that clarify, answer the misconception?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can we know more about who is Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Anirudh?
Advanced subject matters. And I would first request everyone to focus on basic Bhagavad Gita. Focus on basic first. Otherwise, not only will you not understand the advanced subject matters, you will actually misunderstand advanced subject matters. So there's a progression. Everything will come up little by little. So the slide that I am showing you is actually there from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter number 1. There's a lot of progression. First you complete Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Shesha Upanishad, then Bhagavatam, first 9 cantos, then it comes. For the discussion, I am showing you to end this misconception. Gulshan, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. Priya Darshini, the question you have is upcoming discussion, same as Siddharth Prabhu. So hold your thought. The question is, how did demigod worship come into existence? It's an upcoming discussion. So hold your thought. Pratyush Path Prabhus.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, this is Partha.
Yeah.
Actually, my question is, it is said that demigods are supposed to fulfill some illogical or illicit or unacceptable desires. So is it correct?
So it's not correct. They will fulfill desires for which you have karmic credit. So our next class is a heavy discussion on how karma works. So as long as you have karmic credit, it is possible for you to get your desire fulfilled, even if it is not correct. So for example, all this mass killing that happens, all this terrorists who go on killing, we'll discuss this in our next class of how this karma works. How come terrorists are able to kill somebody and how come Krishna is sanctioning that? So it is sanctioned by Krishna for terrorists to kill somebody else because they have the karmic credit from the previous life. So it's a discussion for our next class on karma, but I have briefly answered that it is not a black and white answer that, okay, I have a desire to get $1 million and demigod should fulfill my desire for $1 million. Well, you demigods will first look at your karmic credit that, okay, if my karmic credit says I can only get $1,000, well, demigod will give you only $1,000. Prat Prabhu?
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu, actually, my conception is now clear. Actually, you have rightly mentioned my next question also, that is how the Krishna is approving all these illogical
So it's coming
desire.
up. Yeah, it's coming up discussion in our next class on karma, how karma works. And believe me, it's going to be a very heavy discussion also in our next class. All right, everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Now, I will bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, verse number 15. It's an excellent summary of why demigod worship should not be done. Follow me. Can you please read at a faster pace from the screen, translation and the purport? Raksha, faster pace from the screen.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as part of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him.
So a couple of you asked the question about demigod worship. Just remember this translation that demigods are meant for serving the Lord and everything. So it's upcoming discussion to your questions. Continue, Raksha.
According to the Vedanta Sutras, the Supreme Lord is the author of all revealed scriptures, and all revealed scriptures are for knowing the Supreme Lord. Veda means knowledge that leads to the Lord. The Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned souls. And any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected at once by the Narayana Para devotees. Such deluding books of knowledge, not having Narayana as their aim, are not at all knowledge, but are the playgrounds for crows who are interested in the rejected refuse of the world. Any book of knowledge, science, or art must lead to the knowledge of Narayana. Otherwise, it must be rejected. That is the way of advancement of knowledge. The supreme worshipable deity is Narayana. The demigods are recommended secondarily for worship in relation to Narayana because the demigods are assisting hands in the management of the universal affair. As the officers of a kingdom are respected due to their relation to the king, the demigods are worshipped due to their relation to the Lord. Without the Lord's relation, worship of the demigods is unauthorized. Just as it is improper to water the leaves and branches of a tree without watering its root. Therefore, the demigods are also dependent on Narayana. The lokas or different planets are attractive because they have different varieties of life and bliss, partially representing the Sachidananda Vigraha. Everyone wants the eternal life of bliss and knowledge. In the material world, such an eternal life of bliss and knowledge is progressively realized in the upper planet, but after reaching there, one is inclined to achieve further progress along the path back to Godhead. Duration of life with a proportionate quantity of bliss and knowledge may be increased from one planet to another. One can increase the duration of life to thousands and hundreds of thousands of years in different planets, but nowhere is there eternal life. But one who can reach the highest planet, that of Brahma, can aspire to reach the planet in the spiritual sky where life is eternal. Therefore, the progressive journey from one planet to another culminates in reaching the supreme planet of the Lord, Madhama, where life is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. All different kinds of sacrifice are performed just to satisfy Lord Narayana with a view to reach him. And the best sacrifice recommended in this age of Kali is Sankirtana Yagna, the mainstay of the devotional service of a Narayana Para.
Okay. Many points got answered. Some of you also asked the questions. Any questions, comments, realizations? It's an excellent summary that we read.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah.
If Lord Narayan and Lord Vishnu are way down in the creation, then why we use Lord Vishnu name interchangeably for Lord Krishna?
So understand that when this is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam, that when Krishna comes in his original Shyam Sundar form, so roughly 5,000 years ago during Mahabharata time, when original Krishna, so Krishna is the original Purusha, period. There is nothing beyond Krishna. When Krishna comes, all incarnations of Krishna come together with Krishna within the body of Krishna. And the killing, so all the killing that happened on the Kurukshetra battle, Krishna did not kill. It's the Vishnu form within Krishna that did the killing, except for few individuals such as Putana. Putana was directly killed by Krishna. And the difference between the two killing, meaning killing by Vishnu versus killing by Krishna, is that when Krishna kills, Krishna gives Goloka Vrindavan the ultimate as the benediction. So Putana, even though Putana came to kill Krishna, but because Krishna killed Putana, so even today Putana is in Goloka Vrindavan as the nurse of Krishna. Versus when Vishnu kills, they also attain spiritual destination, but that depends on their rasa and certain other factors. So you have to understand from the context. It's not used interchangeably, the name Vishnu and Krishna. You have to understand with the context, and then it will become clear that why at some places it's Vishnu referred and why at some places it's Krishna referred. Dara?
Yes, Prabhuji, I understand. And second question is, sometime, I don't know where I have heard this, but I've heard that Lord Shiva is Aradhya to Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Is that
Aradhya
true?
means?
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
So Lord Shiva is very complex. Lord Shiva is the biggest devotee of Krishna. Lord Shiva is not at the level of Krishna. He's a devotee of Krishna. Just as there are so many devotees. Now, Lord Shiva is very complex. There are two Shivas. Not everybody even knows about the two Shivas. There is a Sadashiva and there is demigod Shiva, which is in the material world. So many of the people in the material world who worship Shiva, they are actually worshipping the demigod Shiva, which is useless like any other demigod worship. Those who worship Sadashiva as devotee of Krishna, so somebody can worship Sadashiva as the supreme, they don't attain the supreme destination. But if somebody worships Sadashiva as the devotee of Krishna, they also realize and attain the supreme destination. So Shiva is very complex, but I have tried to explain in brief. I'm pretty sure many may have more confusion on that. Dara, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Everybody on the same page? Okay. Now, we read in 2.5.15 the point about Avidhi Purvakam. Avidhi Purvakam means done in a wrong way. So I want Monica to go to Bhagavad Gita 9.23 translation, which has the word Avidhi Purvakam. Avidhi Purvakam Sanskrit is there, which means done in a wrong way. So Monica will read 9.23 translation and then 9.23 last line in the purport.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I still don't have the copy.
Okay. Priyadarshini. Priya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Can you just... Good.
9.23 translation and then 9.23 last line in the purport.
Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. And the last line of the purport, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
This is stated here as Abhiti Purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods.
Right? Demigod worship is avidhi purvakam, done in a wrong way. Therefore, Krishna does not approve worship of demigods. So now the question comes, which Siddharth and Sama and a couple other devotees already asked. Well then, to whom should I worship for my material desires to be fulfilled? So I will again bring up on screen 2.3.10. It's a very famous verse. And it's also a key memorization verse. I will recite the verse and then we'll read the translation. 2.3.10 Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusha param. Monica, if you want to read the translation from the screen.
Yes. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all the material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead.
Right. So whether you have material desires or no material desires or want liberation, one must by all means worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is broader intelligence. So now a question comes up. So what devotees already asked in the chat. Well, this is a prominent Acharya Sridhar Swami. He raises this question. Well, that demigods are fulfilling my desires. Then why does it say here to get the desires fulfilled by Supreme Personality of Godhead? The answer is that when you worship Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, that approach is free from disturbances. Demigod worship is not free from disturbances. Plus, by demigod worship, you are not going to attain the highest destination. Asking Supreme Personality of Godhead for devotional service is the best benediction you can ask. And even for material desires, you should go to Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by going to Supreme Personality of Godhead for your material desires, it allows you to open the doors of bhakti. Demigod worship does not open the doors of bhakti. Does that answer some of the questions Siddharth Prabhu and Samma and somebody else had asked about this?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Okay, now Deepa is asking, are Navagrahas regarded as demigod? I don't know what you are referring to as Navagraha. Deepa, can you clarify?
The 9 planets.
Say that again.
Sorry, 9 planets.
Planets.
Yeah.
Planets
Like,
would be material. They would not be eternal. So
okay.
I'm still not understanding your question.
Like Surya Dev, Shani Dev, the
They are all
9.
no. They are all demigods. They just have administrative powers. Yeah, Surya Dev is a demigod, and Chandra is a demigod. Yeah, they have administrative powers. They are not eternal. They are demigods.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments, realizations? Okay, we will go back to Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 and we will read the purport. The last paragraph we'll read. Udarati from here. Let's see who can read. Ritu, can you please read from the screen where it says Udarati, the last paragraph?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Udaradi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desires for material enjoyment worship small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20. As Rata Jana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses, one cannot obtain any result from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under the circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with a desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take to the worship of the Lord directly. And everyone, whether an Akama or Sakama or Mokshkama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. This implies that Bhakti Yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and janma, as the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called Tivra. Similarly, unmixed Bhakti Yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motive. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we discussed earlier and it says right here, you cannot get your material benedictions from demigod unless it is sanctioned by Krishna. And therefore it says Tivra. So if you go back to 2.3.10, it says Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Tivrena means by full force. You have to worship the Lord, and therefore it says Yajate. Yajate means worship. And whom do you worship? Purusham Param, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Questions, comments, realizations? So my next point is the question that Siddharth Prabhu raised, as well as Samma and Priya and Malti and few others raised earlier. The question is that demigod worship is given in Vedas. Krishna is the author of Vedas. Then why did Krishna give this demigod worship process if we should not follow the demigod worship process to begin with? The answer is demigod worship is given in Vedas so that the demigod worshipper can meet a pure devotee of Krishna and come to Krishna worship. So on the yoga ladder, I will bring up on screen again. So demigod worship means karma kanda. It's the step one of your progression upwards towards bhakti yoga. So say somebody is living an animalistic life. To come out of animalistic life, it is easier to take the first step of first regulating your animalistic life and then progressing step by step process to bhakti yoga. If you tell somebody who's living an animalistic life and you tell him, drop everything animalistic life and go to bhakti yoga, he's not going to say, he's going to say, that's very difficult. So karma kanda means demigod worship. It's a step-by-step process to first regulate your animalistic life. And you see there is a dividing line here between animalistic and karma kanda. From karma kanda is where your spirituality begins. It's just that it's at a low end of spirituality. Siddharth Prabhu, Samma, Priya, Malti, everybody, does that answer as to why demigod worship is given?
Yes, yes, it does.
Siddharth Prabhu, you had the direct question on this.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It answered, but like, can you please explain it again if you don't mind?
Okay, so On the yoga ladder, if you look on the screen, most materialistic people live an animalistic lifestyle. What is an animalistic lifestyle? Somebody is an animal in an animal body. So you have an image of tiger. That's an animal in an animal body. And you have another image of somebody having in a human form, has suit and runs up and down 24 hours with a suitcase and tie. He is an animal in a human body because he has no time for spirituality. To come out of this animalistic lifestyle, you have to first take the easier step of regulating your animal life by living a life according to scriptures. That is demigod worship, that is karma kanda level. And then progress little by little by little to bhakti yoga. If you ask somebody who is an animalistic lifestyle, if you ask him to drop the animalistic lifestyle and come to bhakti yoga directly, it's going to be very difficult. It is possible, but it is going to be very difficult. Therefore, demigod worship is given as a step-by-step process to come out of the animalistic lifestyle. And the dividing line is that karma kanda is your start of spirituality, just at a low end. Siddharth Prabhu?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was such a good explanation. Thank you so much.
Very good
Thank you,
inquiry.
Prabhuji.
Okay, so there's a question posted by Priya in the chat. Let me read the question. There are too many things in the chat. I can only do so much. Question is, if demigods satisfy our prayers only when sanctioned by Krishna, how come results that we get from demigod worship is said to be faster? Yeah, so it's a business contract. I say that demigod worship is a business contract. So you hire a contractor to say do some repairs in your house. He does something and you pay him money. Demigod worship is exactly like that. That you satisfy the demigods and with whatever sacrifice you do it, and as long as it is done properly, and they will give you the benediction. As long as you have the karmic credit and as long as you have the satisfaction for the demigods and sanction by Krishna. But demigods are not going to judge whether your desire is right or wrong for you. They will just satisfy your desire as long as you satisfy the demigod, because it's a business contract. Priya, does that answer? All right, very good. Pratyush Path Prabhus.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I actually had a question. In the ladder of yoga that was just shown, the first rung of the ladder was Bhakti Yoga, which is like the supreme way, and then Karma Yoga was also in one of the lower rungs of the ladder. So Prabhuji, I had a question. If, for example, someone, you give an example that someone is in finance and he is fully into the material business world, for example, is there any way to balance the karma yoga with bhakti yoga? Or if you're in the karma yoga, that means you cannot balance it with bhakti yoga at all?
Okay, very good inquiry. So our entire discussion. So Pratyush Prabhu, you are in the process of getting caught up. This discussion has been there throughout our classes and will continue throughout our discussion of Bhagavad Gita, that we have to balance our material and spiritual duties. We don't have to change anything. We just have to dovetail everything. So in our entire conversation, this conversation has been going on that how do I do my day-to-day task and be able to also do Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga essentially means to remember Krishna. So I'll give you some examples that are already there in previous classes that Pratyush Prabhu is in the process of listening, as well as is an ongoing discussion. So you wake up in the morning, say you wake up at 5:30, instead of waking up at 5:30, you wake up at 5:29. Or say you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, instead of waking up at 4:30, you set your alarm at 4:34. 434 Bhagavad Gita is the spiritual master key memorization verse. Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tatvadarshina. So the moment you wake up, you first remember the verse. So you woke up at Bhagavad Gita verse. And say in the middle of night, if you wake up and you will look at the clock and say, oh, it's still not spiritual master verse time. Or if you wake up at 5:30, instead set your alarm at 5:29, and it's again a key memorization verse. Bhoktaram yagya tapasvam sarvaloke maheshwaram suhadram sarvabhutanam yatmamam shantim rachate. That you are again remembering and waking up at Krishna's time. So I'm just giving example of dovetailing. And this dovetailing examples are there in throughout our classes that Pratyush Prabhu, you are in the process of hearing. I've only given you a very tiny glimpse, and this discussion will continue. So the bottom line, answer to your question, you don't have to separate your material duties and bhakti yoga as long as your material duties is honorable material duties. So you're saying accounting, yes, it's an honorable job. I'm also an accountant. And say if somebody is working, say in a butcher shop, that is not honorable. That is vikarma. That you have to drop. Or you are working in a restaurant that sells and cooks meat, that is not honorable. You have to change that job. Otherwise, any other honorable job, you can simply learn to dovetail, which is there throughout our discussion, and will continue the discussion. Pratyush Prabhu, does that answer?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, very good inquiry, very good practical inquiry. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. I'm gonna bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, which says, Dharma Projeta Kaitava. Kaitava means cheating religion. It says Dharma Projeta Kaitava. So all religious activities, if you just read the translation, religious activities such as Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha means the demigod worship is completely rejected as cheating religion. Why? Because it is keeping you within the material world and it's cheating you of going back home to Godhead. So human body is built with the capacity to attain Goloka Vrindavan. But by doing demigod worship, and if at all you attain heavenly planets by doing properly, right now the way it's done is not proper, but say somebody does it properly and you attain heavenly planet, you still did not achieve anything. You wasted human form of life for what human form of life is capable of. Therefore, 1.1.2 Srimad Bhagavatam says Dharma Projeta Kaitava. This demigod worship is cheating religion. Everybody on the same page? Malti?
Prabhuji, there are many cheating religious or other religion is there. It's hard to believe and focus on one religion or particular one Lord. There are many Bhagwan or Lord created by people. Why is like that?
So
How we can trust?
yeah, Krishna says, there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't have the verse handy. Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam that he created this cheating system because people are interested to get cheated. So you all, from this point on, you know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Demigod worship is avidhi purvakam, done in a wrong way. Krishna has clearly said demigod worship is not required. You all drop it, demigod worship, and from this point on, you do Krishna worship. If at all any one of you still has the desire to do demigod worship, I will also explain how to do demigod worship. Malti, does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Pratyush Path Prabhus?
Prabhuji, I had another question. If I accept this particular frame, then people who try to worship Lord Shiva in Ujjain or all these big temples which worship other gods, and they have these huge pilgrimages. Um, so are they like are they like should they like they don't know what exactly the truth is, or are they being misguided, or are their prayers going to be futile? Can you just please provide some insights into that?
Yeah, we already read that they are misguided and whatever they are doing is futile. They are not going to achieve anything. We already discussed, I already showed you references. Whatever I said, I did not say anything by myself. I brought up scriptural references for all those things. Therefore, I say that demigod worship is rampant, especially in India and around areas. That is all futile. That's a waste of human form of life. Pratyush Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Follow me.
Prabhuji, is it possible that since we are in the material world and, as it says that the demigod, let's say Surya or Chandra, we see them materially. That's why also it's a tendency to do this probably and to value Sri Krishna. Everything happens by his will, that by the end we realize this is futile. We go to Sri Krishna. We have experienced what is futile, so we will never go back there. We will only go to him. Is
Yeah,
it possible
you are
that
correct. So first understand that you said that other demigods are visible. Well, the Krishna that's standing in your home temple or Krishna that is standing in the temple. So follow me here in Toronto, Ch4 Gopinath is the same Gopinath that is standing in Goloka Vrindavan. There's no difference. We just have to develop that faith and taste.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of development. So I already explained, we read that and discussed that demigod worship is so that all these people who are demigod worshippers can meet a pure devotee of Krishna so that their process of bhakti starts.
Oh, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. How can I explain this in brief to someone who is worshipping demigods? Like,
so give
to
them
help
prasad.
them.
Yeah, give them prasad first. Instead of trying to tell them you are wrong, don't use those words at all. First, give them prasad. First, try to engage them in little service. Try to engage them or ask them to come to Sunday feast. So they will somehow get the Krishna Prasad. They will somehow get the association of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna and other pure devotees. That prasad, the first step, prasad is very much required. Prabhupada has explained this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, it's verse 13, 14 purport. It says, unless somebody takes Krishna Prasad, only after taking Krishna Prasad is the finer tissues in the brain will get cleansed. Only then they will be able to understand spirituality. If you try to tell anybody this demigod worship point on day one, they will say, you are crazy, you go away. Gulshan?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
All right. So Siddharth Prabhu has a point in the chat that he understands about demigod worship giving quick results. So I don't know if it's a question or just a point that Krishna asked Arjuna to worship Shiva to get some weapons or some boon. So understand what was Arjuna doing. There's a very important inquiry that Siddharth Prabhu has asked, that why did Arjuna worship demigods? So Arjuna worshipped demigods not to attain any material benediction for his own enjoyment. Arjuna worshipped demigods to get the Divya Astra, means to get the weapons, so that Arjuna could use those weapons in the service of the Lord in the Kurukshetra war. Arjuna did not get any benedictions for himself. Arjuna worshipped not just Shiva, many other demigods. He also went to heaven and got so many weapons. Very important to understand the mindset. Siddharth Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I got it. Thank you so much.
All right. So I have a question for you all. So question may come up that what Sama was asking, that I have been worshipping demigod for so long, since childhood. So question comes up that if I stop demigod worship now and start Krishna worship, will demigods become angry? Is that a question for everybody? Yes, no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, I will bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse number 20, and we'll read the purport, last paragraph. We'll get Samma to read. So this is 1.16.20, where it actually explains that actually demigods will be pleased on you if you do Krishna worship. Samma, if you want to read from the screen, this purport where it starts, the materialistic men.
Yeah. The materialistic men want to work hard and enjoy furtive results for sense enjoyment. Thus, they are committing many types of sins at every step of life. Those, however, who are consciously engaged in the devotional service of the Lord are transcendental to all varieties of sin and virtue. Their activities are free from the contamination of the three modes of material nature. For the devotees, there is no need for performance of prescribed sacrifices because the very life of the devotee is a symbol of sacrifice. But persons who are engaged in furtive activities for sense enjoyment must perform the prescribed sacrifices because that is the only means to get free from reaction of all sins committed by furtive workers. Sacrifice is the means of counteracting such accumulated sins. The demigods are pleased when such sacrifices are performed, just as prison officers are satisfied when prisoners are turned into obedient subjects. Lord Chaitanya, however, has recommended only one yagna or sacrifice called the Sankirtana Yagna, the chanting of Hare Krishna, in which everyone can take part. Thus, both devotees and furtive workers can derive equal benefit from the performance of Sankrita Yagna.
Yes, Sankirtana Yagya is the Yagya specified for Kali, means chanting the Hare Krishna Mantra. So we read, the demigods will be pleased when you worship Krishna, when you do Sankirtan Yagya. So if any one of you have this fear, oh, demigods may become angry. No, demigods will actually be pleased, because I say demigods are also devotees of Krishna. They actually want all souls to go back home to Godhead, but souls are stuck in the material world, wanting to enjoy, wanting to satisfy their desires. Everybody on the same page? Does that answer a very important inquiry?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So now I will play short lecture extracts from His Grace Chaitanya Chandas about demigod worship. And then we'll read a couple more verses and we will pause for questions, comments, realizations. Let's hear from Chaitanya Chandas. Take notes and we will come back to discussing what he's talking about.
So those who worship Devatas, they go to the Devatas. Mat bhakta yanti mamapi. And those who worship me come back to me. Krishna is telling over here. So in this way, he is explaining the difference between different kinds of worship, different levels of worship. So antavat tufalam tesha When we worship Devatas, actually, the demigods are temporary, demigods' abodes are temporary, demigods' benedictions are temporary, and the demigod worshippers, they themselves are temporary. Yes, as souls they are eternal, but whatever attainments they get, as long as they are existing at the material level, their existences themselves remain material, temporary. Our bodily existence is temporary. So the demigod worshippers, when they get elevated, what is the ultimate fruit that they can get? Demigod worshippers, the ultimate fruit that they can get is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Somehow they get elevated from demigod worship to the worship of the Supreme Lord. That is the ultimate blessing that they can get. And instead of being sakam, they become nishkam in the worship of the Supreme Lord. Or they are otherwise at the material level, the benefit that they may get is they may move from the worship of move from materialistic consciousness to pious materialism. And then they may go to the demigod abode where they will live with the demigods, but that is also not permanent. The demigods' abodes themselves are temporary, so even if they attain those abodes, they will be temporarily only, and quite often they will not even attain those abodes, because today, especially when people perform demigod worship, they don't do it with proper scriptural rules and regulations. So tam niyamamasthaya means there has to be niyam, and one has to asthaya, one has to follow those niyams faithfully, those rules faithfully. So even the demigod worship has to be done according to rules and regulations. Now the rules and regulations for demigod worship may be different from the rules and regulations for worship of other people. Worship of the Supreme Lord, or the worship of demigods. Different demigods may have slightly different rules of worship, but there are rules nonetheless, and it's only when one follows the rules that one gets elevated. So today we have demigod worship in India, for example. We may have worship of Ganesh, and in the worship of Ganesh in the pandal, people are having movie songs. So many people don't find anything objectionable in such a thing, because their whole idea is that this side of religious practice is, they think that it's just one kind of entertainment. And okay, people are coming to Ganesh also for entertainment only, and people hear movie songs also for entertainment only. So what is the problem bringing two forms of entertainment together? But actually, it's a complete misunderstanding. The demigod worship also should be done for the glorification of the demigod. Ultimately, we should glorify only the Supreme Lord. But if we are worshipping the Devata, then we should glorify that Devata in the worship. The best way to glorify the Devata would be to glorify that Devata as a devotee of the Supreme Lord.
Okay, what did he explain so far? Quickly.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Mona Prabhu.
There are two different points I will discuss. The first one is there are different levels of worshippers. Few living entities are worshipping Krishna, and others are worshipping demigods. So those who are worshipping demigods are temporary. Worshippers themselves are temporary because this body is temporary, and the benediction received from demigods is also temporary. So the ultimate blessings, if they receive, is to come to the level of bhakti yoga for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the next one is he's explaining that demigods worship should be done under certain rules and regulations. So to explain that scenario, he has given one example of Ganesh Pandala, that if we are listening to Bollywood music along with that Pandal, then that is not called demigod worship.
Okay, very good. Very good summary of a lot of points. Okay, what did he say more? He said how to worship demigods, he explained.
He said that the worshipping demigods, it may be different for each demigod, but there are rules nevertheless. So we have to follow the rules even if we are worshipping demigods, so as to get elevated.
Okay, yeah. So I explained that each demigod has a different set of rules. Okay, but he said something more, how to worship demigods. I will explain the summary soon. But what did we hear from him? Somebody, Kulshan?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. He said the best way to glorify a demigod is to glorify them as the devotee of Krishna.
Yeah. Don't worship demigods as gods. Proper way to worship demigod is to glorify them as devotees of Krishna. Okay, very good. Okay, let me play the second part and we will come back to again discuss and read some more.
God's image might be there, but actually one is worshipping, one is only singing movie songs over there. And maybe in the morning or in the evening when Marti is there, little bit some songs of the demigods, praising the demigods may be there. But even those songs are often sung by professional musicians who are singing not out of devotion, but they are singing because of the desire for profit. They are singing so that they can become famous, they can earn money. So that sort of worship of the devatas is not going to lead to much spiritual advancement. Actually speaking, by the worship of devatas, also even if it is done properly, there is only gradual spiritual advancement. And when Krishna is saying that the worship of himself, if it is done with material motives, from there to come to pure surrender may take many lifetimes. And if somebody is doing worship of devatas with material motives, from there to come to Krishna worship may take a very long, much longer time. And that's why it's not a particularly encouraging or elevating. It's not a particularly it's not something which as devotees we should encourage. Whenever we get the forum, we should speak. You don't have to hurt people's sentiments if they are doing demigod worship, but we can guide them when people are uninformed. And because they are uninformed, they just don't know that there is something wrong over here. So we can gently but gravely explain that how demigod, if at all somebody is doing demigod worship, then they should do demigod worship properly. The best way is by connecting the glorification of the demigod with the education and position of the demigod as the supreme law, as the servant of the supreme lord. But that's why Krishna is saying over here, it's not that all of this will lead to the same result. So if somebody is doing the worship of the devta, it is not that by worshipping that devta, the person will go back to Krishna. Okay. It's very clearly Krishna is saying, Devan Deva Yajo Yanti. Those who worship the devtas will go to devtas. And Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. Those who worship me will come back to me. And because attaining me is eternal attainment, attaining the abode of the devtas is temporary attainment, therefore the two cannot be equated.
Okay, what did he explain? Somebody? Hare Krishna, somebody? What did we hear?
Babaji, in the end, he mentioned that those who worship demigods go to demigods, and those who worship me will come to me for eternity.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, demigod worship, you will still be within the material world.
Yeah.
They are not going anywhere. So it's futile. Okay, very good. So what's the first principle we discussed today? Everybody should know this principle. What's the first principle we discussed today?
Prabhuji, do not disrespect demigods.
Okay, very good. So even though we discussed at great length that Krishna worship is where we should be, and you all at some point come to full Krishna worship, still do not disrespect demigods because they are devotees of Krishna. Okay, here's a question for all. I want every single one to answer. Every single one to answer. Either you put it in the chat or in a personal chat or by unmuting. My question is, we all said, okay, Krishna worship is the highest. My question is, how many of you want Krishna's mercy? I want an answer from everyone.
Prabhuji, I want. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji, I want to.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, I want.
Yeah, we want.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, I want.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
All of us want it, Prabhuji.
All right. Hold your thought. I'll ask this question again. All right. Who's left? How many of you want Krishna's mercy? And who's left to answer? All right. Hold your thought. I'm going to ask you the same question again in a minute. So we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 88, verse number 8. Very easy to remember, 1088.8. So I think many of you have read. Who has not read? Who wants to read? Who has not read so far? Who did not read? Okay, Monarch Prabhu. So this is a very famous verse. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Yasya Aham Anugrahami, how it starts. Translation, Monarch Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation: The personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another.
So here's my same question again. How many of you still want Krishna's mercy?
Yes, I want Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, we still want it.
Prabhuji, we
Yes,
still want
Prabhuji,
it.
still want.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Understand why Krishna will give you miseries. We'll read very soon as to why the reason. And Priyadarshini, I will answer your question about how to do demigod worship in a moment. But first, understand about why Krishna gives you miseries. We'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, verse number 26. Pratyush Prabhu, I think you did not read. So there's a very famous verse from Kunti Maharani's prayers. Read the translation.
My lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling.
Right? So when you are materially exhausted, then you will be able to approach Krishna with sincere feelings. So by Krishna giving you his mercy, he will take away all your material opulences. As long as you are attached to your material opulences, and then you will be able to take Krishna's name with feelings. Pratyush Prabhu, read this line, therefore the four principles.
Therefore, the four principles of material advancements, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are so to speak disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancements.
Right? So these material opulences of high parentage, good wealth, high education, beauty, they are disqualifications. So 1.8.26 has a key word, akinchana gochara. Kinchana means something. Akinchana means nothing. That when you have nothing, then you will be easily able to take Krishna's name with feelings. And once you become akinchana gochara, then you become Krishna's property, and Krishna takes care of you just as we all take care of our own belongings like car, house, or whatever other belongs we may have. That same way, when you become akinchana gochara, that same way Krishna will take care of you because you become Krishna's property. And the next verse, 1.8.27, is another Krishna's quality, that it is akinchana vittaya, that that you become property of Krishna. Parth Prabhu, you want to read the translation?
Yeah. Hare Krishna. My obedience are unto you, who are the property of materially improvised. You have nothing to do with the action and reaction of the material mode of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the modists.
All right, so you become property of Krishna and Krishna will take care of you. My last point for today is that what Priya just asked, that if at all you have desire to worship demigods, please continue to worship demigods. Just worship the demigods properly. Worshipping demigods properly means do not offer bhoga to demigods. Rather, offer Krishna Prasad to demigods. Means you first offer bhoga to Krishna on Krishna's plate. You cannot have simultaneous another plate for demigods. No, that is not proper. Only you offer bhoga to Krishna. When that offering is finished, you transfer that prasad onto another plate for demigod, because Krishna plate cannot go to demigods. Then you offer that prasad to demigods. And on your altar at your home temple, demigods and Krishna cannot be on the same altar. So I also had this same problem when I first heard all of this, that at my home temple, I had every single demigod you can imagine. And I had to create a level at my home temple to accommodate all these other demigods. And after I heard all of this, I prayed to all these demigods at my home temple with folded hands that, okay, now I understand that you are devotees of Krishna. I also want to become devotee of Krishna, so you please help me. And I respectfully placed all the demigods in a box. They are still sitting in a box. The challenge was Ganpati. That many of us have this feeling that, well, Ganpati will what do I do? So look on the image that you have on the screen. You have Narsimhadev and Ganpati is standing right here. Ganpati is standing with folded hands in front of Narsimhadev. So I had this courage later on to also remove Ganesh from the temple. So now at my home temple altar, some of you have seen the demonstration video of the Bhoga offering from my home temple. I only have Shishi Radha Krishna, then Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Maharani, and Shishi Gaur Nitai, of course, the Guru Parampara and Srila Prabhupada's images on the altar. So, two things. You cannot offer Bhoga to demigods at your home temple, and you cannot have demigod on the altar. So you have to place them separately on the altar and you have to give them prasad to demigods and not bhoga. Priya, does that answer and everybody? So Padma Kumar Prabhu has a question about what benefits we get from demigods. Well, whatever you pray, as long as you have karmic credit, in terms of the reference of 330 million demigods, is there somewhere in the scriptures. I don't have it handy right now, but it's there in the scriptures. And we may only know few which are very prominent, say for example, Ganpati or Shiva or Durga or some, but there are so many others for the maintenance of the universe. Padma Kumar Prabhu, does that answer? Pratyush Prabhu, Path Prabhus?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Actually, I have a question regarding one of the last points that you mentioned, that Krishna ensures that he deprives you of your material possessions, so that you can finally engage and understand and do bhakti yoga. So my question is, from a psychological perspective, if someone loses something, like loses a property or has faced huge financial loss, then he is vulnerable. Now that vulnerability can also be a double-edged sword. Like it can lead him to, like, I don't know, committing crime, because more poor countries are kind of more, they have more crimes. So I'm saying ki isn't being vulnerable due to a loss of property or due to a loss of anything major, isn't it a double-edged sword? How do you ensure that a person walks the righteous path after losing everything?
Yeah, so it depends on your faith. So Krishna is not going to take away the opulences if you have no faith. Yeah, it's going to create havoc. You are correct. Only somebody who is interested in spirituality, but because the opulence are hindrance for my advancement, therefore Krishna removes the hindrance by taking away the opulences. Those people who have opulences and who are not interested in spirituality, Krishna is not going to do anything to them. Krishna is not going to take away their opulences because they are not interested in spirituality to begin with. It is only those who want to advance on spirituality, but because I have so much attachment, therefore Krishna showers his mercy by removing the attachment that we have. And understand the other side also, that as long as you are not attached to material opulences, Krishna will give you so much opulences that you will not be able to handle. The perfect example is Sudama. Sudama was not attached to opulences at all, that he took chipped, broken rice, and Krishna was so pleased because it was offered with love and devotion, which Krishna says in 9.26, that somebody offers me with love and devotion, I will accept. Krishna gave so much opulences to Sudama, but see the result. Sudama did not become puffed up. Sudama continued to use all that opulences in Krishna's service. Satyash Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Partha. Actually, this is the actually process of renunciation. If a rich or a very opulent person attracted in Krishna consciousness, then he need to renounce his property and other things.
Yeah, so
which are
renunciation, we have discussed this in chapter 3, that Path Prabhu, you are also in the process of hearing, that renunciation is not our goal. Renunciation is just a means to get to the goal of bhakti yoga. So you can voluntarily renounce everything, that is good, but if you have too much attachment to material opulences and simultaneously you also want Krishna to help you, then Krishna will remove those opulences, those hindrances from your life, and then you will be akinchana gochara. Then you will be able to voluntold way focus on spirituality. Path Prabhu?
all right. Thank you.
Okay, we
Hare
are just
Krishna.
past 11:45 here in Toronto time. As I said at the start, there's going to be a very heavy discussion. I'm pretty sure all of you would have found this heavy. If you still have demigod worship desire, I have also explained to you how to do it. I request you to please have offline conversations with me for whatever additional clarifications you may need, or listen to the recording again. I have given you significant volume of information today from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. I have discussed the wholesome discussion on demigod worship. And our next class on karma is also super heavy class on how karma works. We'll essentially cover one verse. Chapter 4, verses 16, 17, 18 are essentially one verse on karma. It's going to be very, very heavy discussion again. Are we all okay to stop here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.